Prior to the 1970s, we had 5% of mothers with school-age kids working outside the home. And for all of human history, even during the Industrial Revolution, 17, 18, 1900s, like you said, in the 40s and 50s, you could be a janitor and support a family and have 4 kids on one income. And something shifted in the 1970s, and it's never shifted back. So it can't be like how the stock market's doing. It can't really be like all these other independent economic factors that have shifted and changed and been so different over the course of the last 50 years. The one big thing that we changed is we pushed women into college and into the workforce. And by the 1980s, they were on par with men in workforce participation. So in the span of about 20 years, we almost doubled the labor force by pushing all the women in, and men's wages have never recovered. So now you are stuck in a 2-income trap where even women who want to stay home and even dads who would love to have their wife home with their kids, it's really tough.
So why did women entering the workforce keep men's wages stable or keep them from going up along with the inflation?
It really fundamentally changed the economy. I have a friend named Aaron Clary who wrote a book about this. It's an analysis of what he calls a female-based economy, where it's more consumer-driven. Women are responsible for 80% of consumer spending. And now that they're all educated and in the job market, we have a lot more of things like HR departments, psychology, sociology. The economy shifted away from being manufacturing and production and more male-dominated things to we have all these women coming out of university, and what do they get degrees in? I think 80% of psychology degrees are earned by women. And then despite all our efforts to push women into STEM, there's still maybe 20% of STEM degrees. So we have all these very educated women, and we have a lot of kind of fluffy jobs like office jobs, HR jobs, social media managers. And mostly women do a lot of the same things they used to do in the home. So they're nurses, they're early childhood educators, they're retail workers, they're cooks, they're housekeepers. They're doing a lot of the stuff they used to do, which the Marxist feminists called unpaid labor, right? This is the myth of women's unpaid labor. So instead of cleaning your own house, educating your own children, cooking meals for your family, maybe for your parents or grandparents who can't cook for themselves, all the things we used to do for our own family, clerical work, bookkeeping for your husband's business, things like that. We're doing those things for corporations. So that, and this was kind of by design. A lot of the book is about the fact that there were people who pushed feminism, and it wasn't because women were oppressed and they cared about the position of women necessarily. It's because the same people who pushed, the 19th Amendment and pushed progressivism and feminism were the same people who drafted the Federal Reserve legislation, came up with the income tax, came up with the compulsory education system. And especially on the Marxist side, they pushed feminism because they said if we can push mothers and women into the workforce and we double the workforce, workers of the world unite. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we have this huge workforce, and through the university systems, we can kind of propagandize the young women to be socialists and to be Marxists because they kind of tend that way anyway. The way that women's brains work is very communitarian for a reason. We're moms, So it's very easy to radicalize. And this isn't my opinion. I go over in the book how you can just read the writings of these people and they tell you. August Bebel, Alexandra Kollontai, Margaret Fuller, all these early 1800s writers were saying, we need to get women away from the home and away from being mothers and push them into the workplace because then we can politicize them, we can motivate them into becoming revolutionaries. And that's how we'll get the numbers to make this work.
Wow.
Yeah. So now, instead of staying home with your kids and doing all these things for your family, for your community, you're doing them for a corporation, and you're paying income tax, you're paying all the other taxes associated with having to work outside the home, gas tax because you're driving back and forth to work, payroll taxes, all that kind of stuff. And you are away from your kids all day. Where do they go? They go to public schools, where the public school system then can dictate to them what the values should be, what the worldview should be instead of the parents.
Hoy.
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder. Like there's all these giant shifts in culture, and it makes you wonder what would we look like if that had never taken place?